Hi Stampin' friends, it's Chris Slogar from BuckeyeInklings.com, and today I want to show you how to make this interactive sliding card. It's a mechanism that I cased from Jennifer McGuire ink. I just love the simplicity of this sliding window card. The little shutter pulls across the opening so that you can reveal two different messages. So I've used stamps from Stampin' Up. This is From Our House to Yours from the 2019 holiday catalog. And the designer paper is also from the holiday catalog, and it's the Let It Snow suite. Okay, so super cute, and this is a really fun builder stamp set to work with. We'll get to the stamping in a minute. Let's prepare the base, and you'll see how easy this is. All right, so I'm starting with a piece of Coastal Cabana that measures 5.5 inches by 9 inches. And I've already got it scored at 4 1/4 and 8 1/2. Okay, and this is going to fold up to make a sleeve for the sliding parts. And I'm going to have the tab in the back. And what the mechanism relies on is, here's a little broken down partial constructed piece that shows it slits along the front of the card base that allow that sliding mechanism. Okay, and it's very simple. What we're going to do is take that Coastal Cabana piece, and we want slits that are 3/4 of an inch from what will be the top of the card here at this fold and the bottom edge. So each slit is going to be 3/4 inch from that edge. And they need to start and stop 3/4 of an inch from the ends of the card. So let me show you how to cut that. If you put the edge line at 3/4 here, and I'm just going to get that really straight, and then use my cutting blade starting at 3/4, I'm going to cut to 4 3/4. Okay, so that's stopping 3/4 of an inch short of the end of the card. Okay, so that's the first slit. Then I'm going to move over 2 3/4 of an inch because that center section where the window is measures 2 3/4, and that will put me at 3 1/2. Okay, so I'm lined up here at 3 1/2. And you can see that slot lines up with 2 3/4, okay? And the next slot will be that distance away from it. All right, and again, I'm starting here. I'll start at the bottom this time. I'm starting 3/4 of an inch in and cutting to 3/4 of an inch from the top, which will be the side of the card. Okay, so that's how you make the slots, and that's probably the hardest part of this. All right, and then on the side, we need a little notch for a thumb hold. So I'm going to mark a point here in the center, and then take my 1-inch circle punch and notch out less than a half circle at that location. And then I'm going to fold this over and make a matching notch on the back side of the card. Don't try to go through 2 layers of this 80-pound cardstock with the punch. That will damage your punch. Yeah, I've done that before. So do it in 2 steps like that to line it up so that you don't have that problem. Okay, and then what I'm going to do to get this ready, I'm going to put on that tab piece some tear and tape. All right, and then while we've got this here, I'm going to do some stamping with the snowflakes in that set to decorate that frame. Let me get a little mask piece here. And I'm just going to take my snowflakes and stamp all over the frame area. Whatever goes into the center will be covered up. And I'm just doing Coastal Cabana on Coastal Cabana. Now, one thing about this stamp set, there's a lot of little pieces to line up, and that can be kind of frustrating to get them perfectly, like the little houses and doors in place, the roofs on top of the houses. So what I've done for this is I've set this up on my Stamparatus to do the stamping of this inside piece. This is one piece, side by side. It looks like this. Okay, so we need to stamp all of this on one piece of Whisper White that measures 2 3/4 by 4. Okay, so you can see there's a little bit of room for error. Even though they're clear stamps, I would say, you know, that's pretty fussy stamping. So wait till you see how fun it is on the Stamparatus, okay? So I've got a piece of Whisper White that measures 2 3/4 by 4. And let me pull in my Stamparatus that I have this particular design lined up on. Okay, so I am going to put that piece up into the corner, make sure it's pushed up into the corner every time. And I've got the houses. Remember, this is what we're going for now. I think you can see that off to the side. And it helps to have either a Pierce mat or a stamp set case over to the side to keep that level while you're inking. Okay, so I have Blueberry Bushel for the houses. And I'm going to ink up my stamps, make sure they look inked and even. And there's the house bases. I think my pad's getting a little dry. I'm going to go over that. That's just the beauty of the Stampin' Up. I can make that darker if I feel like I've missed a spot there. That's great. Okay, and then on another side of my plate, I've got the parts that need to be green. So I'm going to stamp them in Shaded Spruce, okay? And I've already got this lined up. So if you're making a bunch of this like kind of card, this is a great way to do it so that you're not, you know, constantly trying to line up each stamp. Okay, so I've used that plate. And I'm going to put that aside. Now, I have the roofs on another plate here that are lined up. And I'm going to do those in gray. And again, each time, you can use the magnet, but it might get kind of in the way, or a little bit of washi tape. I prefer to just, you know, push my stamps up into the corner. And I've got gray granite here for the roofs. And those are lined up in place. And then I am going to flip to what I have to do in red here. I've got real red to do the hearts and the Mary. Okay. And then the last step, I actually have the little doors for the houses mounted on the upper plate up here. Going to just ink those up and bring those down into place. Okay, so this is really a fun way to do this. If you're doing, especially if you're doing multiples of this building kind of stamp, it's great to have it set up on the Stamparatus. Okay, let me set that aside and get on with the card now. Okay, so which one did we stamp? This one. All right. So I'm going to pull in, I hope I don't get that blue ink on my pieces. I'm going to pull in all the pieces I need now. In addition to this 2 3/4 by 4 inch piece, I need an additional piece of the same size of Whisper White. Okay, so you're actually using 2 3/4 by 4 inch pieces. And then a 2 inch by 4 inch piece of the designer paper. And what I'm going to do is just thread that in to this slot. Okay, so here is the shutter piece. All right, now I'm going to turn that over. I'm going to get that all the way to the end of the slot there. And this is 4 inches wide, so there's only an 1/8 inch to each edge of the card. Okay, so we're going to get that centered in there. And then take the blank white piece and put it alongside so that it butts right up to that designer paper piece. Okay, and then we're going to strap those two together with these pieces measure 1/2 inch by 4 inches. And I'm going to put tear and tape on them. And they're going to be pull pieces, okay? So they're going to pull the shutter piece, okay? The white piece will pull the shutter piece from the inside of the card. Okay, so again, I've got those lined up together so that the edges just meet, and then I'm going to strap between them with this 1/2 inch by 4 inch piece of cardstock. Okay, so now we've created the shutter. And then this piece, now you could put this in place beforehand. I just slide it in after the fact so that I just have this really flat when I do this step. But I slide this in after the fact. You could have it in place before. And the edges should pretty well line up with the slot. You're just going to center that there on the card front. And then I'm going to lift up this side and, did I move it? No. And stick it down. And then I'm going to move the shutter piece. Oops, that needs to, there we go. And then lock down the other side. Okay, so I'm just kind of reaching under there and adding some adhesive. Okay, so there we have the shutter from our house to yours. Merry Christmas. Okay, and we can close up the card. So remember, we have this now to make a sleeve, but you need to make sure that when you close it up, the sliding pieces are inside of the sleeve. You can't just lock this down because that will secure your shutter in place. You need to make sure that this piece, and I'm going to reveal the adhesive here, this piece needs to go around to encase the sliding pieces. So you're going to make sure that tab piece goes around the sliding mechanism and then attaches directly to the front of the card base. So it's the tab attaching directly to the Coastal Cabana front. Whoops, sorry about that. We had an interruption on my phone. What we're going to do is add this red frame piece to kind of clean up all those edges just to make everything look really neat there. So I have a frame cut from the stitched rectangles, the ones that are 4 3/4, well, one is 4 3/4 inches long and one is 4 inches long. And I'm using our adhesive strips, the foam adhesive strips, around the outside edge of that frame. Okay, so then I'm going to stick that down over the top of the card to frame what I've created. And that will clean up, you know, like you won't see those raw edges then. And we'll get one more. Oops, a little too long. All right. So you could also use like skinny lengths of dimensionals if you have some left, that kind of thing. And let me reveal the adhesive. And then carefully put this in place. This is pretty much 4 inches long, so that's exactly the same length as what we've got in our design here. So I'm going to take a second to make sure I'm really lined up well before I press this down. Okay, so I've got that in place now, and the shutter moves across the 2 pictures. You can sign it out here, or if you wanted to, you could leave some space in here to sign it. So I hope you'll try that. That's a really easy way to make a sliding mechanism on a card. And if you would like any of the products that you've seen in this video, please visit me for the online store at buckeyeinklings.com. And I also post a lot of other great ideas there. Not all of them are on YouTube. I don't make videos for all of them, but there's a lot there in pictures as well. So hope you'll come see me. Thanks so much.